On this Labor Day, the race to get back. Millions scrambling to head home before the work week starts, with extreme weather making a mess for some. Now, the new flooding in Texas. At least 2 people swept away in San Antonio. Out west, high heat, plus old issues creating new problems at major airport hubs. The deadly earthquake in Afghanistan, hundreds killed. Inside, the desperate rush to rescue more in the mountains, remote and risky. Protests across the country this Labor Day, taking on the White House, all ahead of what could be a National Guard showdown in Chicago, as that city braces for a potential immigration crackdown. The warning from 9 former CDC directors saying the health secretary's putting lives at risk. COVID cases ticking up again. And what the president's now saying about the vaccine tonight. The dramatic rescue caught on camera after this child wanders onto the monorail tracks. Tonight, you'll hear from the man who rushed to pluck him to safety.
Like MacGyver level skill set come from? I'll call it more of like dad strength.
The Army football standout who helped save a driver from a car seconds before it burst into flames. Look at that. And School of Hard Knocks. After winning title after title in the NFL, can Bill Belichick win again as he makes his college coaching debut? Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Good evening. I'm Hallie Jackson in for Tom tonight, and we are coming on the air with the rush home after one of the busiest Labor Day weekends in years, and millions battling the elements with extreme weather turning deadly. 2 people swept away in Texas with serious flooding in San Antonio and in Houston, where you can see this group abandoning their car in the middle of the road. Even tonight, thunderstorms in the South and Midwest could make travel tricky for folks flying in or out of Miami, Dallas, and Kansas City. In New Jersey, delays from ground stops at Newark because of staffing problems. And farther west, millions sweltering in a heat wave as summer comes to a close, with record-breaking temperatures expected in the Northwest. Our Dana Griffin is tracking it all.
Tonight, travel woes for some passengers this Labor Day. At Newark Liberty International, dozens of delays and a ground stop, the FAA citing staffing. Another ground stop at Reagan National due to volume. And at Dallas-Fort Worth, flights halted because of weather. The TSA expected to screen 17.4 million passengers returning home from Labor Day weekend. Out west, a different holiday challenge for LA County lifeguards.
They're going to be out on the sand looking for rip currents and people in distress.
Nearly 600 rescues over the weekend as dangerous rip currents and elevated surf impact beaches.
We've seen periods of these massive waves breaking at least 6 feet. This is adding to the danger.
The power of the wave is very, very impressive.
Families undeterred by conditions, but keeping a close watch.
It's very easy for a little child to disappear.
Across the West, hot temperatures impacting 25 million people, some states seeing 10 to 20 degrees above average. While in Texas, police say 2 people were killed and a 3rd missing during flash flooding on Sunday that left drivers stranded and rivers swollen. In San Antonio, a man had to be rescued by raft. Back in California, when swimmers get this warning,
We'll go out and just talk to those people, make sure they're safe, bring them back in, and then redirect them into a safer location.
Dana is joining us now from Santa Monica. And Dana, lifeguards are taking those dangerous ocean conditions very seriously, right?
Absolutely. CPR had to be performed on 1 person over the weekend. And as you can see behind me, these dangerous rip currents are not stopping people from coming here to Santa Monica Beach, where the waves are still swelling. Hallie?
They sure are. Dana Griffin in Santa Monica, thank you. Also tonight, the desperate scramble to save survivors after a horrific earthquake in Afghanistan that killed at least 800 people. Keir Simmons has the late-breaking details.
Tonight, victims trapped for hours as rescuers scramble to find survivors under the rubble of a powerful earthquake that struck Afghanistan early this morning. The 6.0 magnitude quake hit in the mountains near the Pakistani border, striking in the middle of the night as people slept. It was midnight when the quake started, breaking our house. God have mercy, we managed to escape outside, this man says, who says several family members were killed. Many people in this remote region live in desperate poverty, making less than $1 a day. Tonight, first responders struggling to reach the area. Roads blocked from widespread disruption, collapsing already fragile homes. People dependent on the Taliban government for help. Seen here evacuating the wounded, including young children, on helicopters. Many were not reached in time. Everything here has been destroyed. I want the government to come and help us, this man says. Afghan officials say at least 800 people have died and expect that number to rise, while aftershocks were reported as far away as India. And tonight, the Taliban Health Ministry has asked for the international community's assistance in the quake's aftermath, as the death toll there keeps rising. Hallie?
Keir Simmons, thank you. Here at home, new protests in Chicago late today as that city braces for the possibility of National Guard troops sent in by President Trump and an immigration crackdown as soon as this week. Garrett Hake reports.
Tonight, protesters on the streets of Chicago demanding President Trump not deploy federal forces to fight crime in the Windy City. And the city's Democratic mayor ordering Chicago police not to cooperate with the feds.
No federal troops in the city of Chicago.
NBC's Adrian Broadus speaking to protesters.
The message for President Trump? Stay out of Chicago. We don't need you here. We don't want you here.
President Trump has repeatedly floated the prospect of sending in the National Guard to crack down on crime in Chicago after deploying the Guard to Washington, D.C. But Illinois' Democratic governor slamming the potential move.
We don't want troops on the streets of American cities. Right. That's un-American.
The governor noting murders are down 32% in Chicago this year, though this weekend at least 53 people were shot and 7 people were killed in Chicago, leading one Democratic alderman to conclude federal help is needed.
Safely. I had 2 teenagers shot in my community this weekend alone. So when I hear my Democratic colleagues tell me, don't worry, crime is down, Trump stay home in Washington, I have a real hard time accepting that.
It comes as 2 federal law enforcement officials tell NBC News that ICE, Border Patrol, and other federal agencies do plan to scale up arrests of undocumented immigrants beginning this week in Chicago, a sanctuary city that does not cooperate with ICE.
We will continue to go after the worst of the worst across the country, like President Trump has told us.
All as a federal judge dealt a legal blow to the Trump administration, blocking flights deporting unaccompanied minors who came to the U.S. illegally from Guatemala back home. The judge criticizing those flights for being scheduled in the, quote, wee hours of the morning. The Trump administration arguing they were reuniting families at the suggestion of the Guatemalan government. Hallie?
Garrett Hake at the White House, thank you. Also tonight, a scathing new op-ed from 9 former CDC heads blasting the current health secretary as confusion starts to spike over this fall's COVID shots. Here's Maggie Vespa.
Accusing him of endangering every American's health, tonight 9 former heads of the CDC slamming Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in a blistering New York Times op-ed. In it, blasting Kennedy's firing of CDC Director Dr. Susan Minares last week that sparked outrage within the agency, 4 top leaders resigning in protest. Last week, staffers cheered outside CDC headquarters in support. The former CDC heads writing Minares refused to, quote, rubber stamp his dangerous and unfounded vaccine recommendations aimed at restricting access or heed his demand to fire senior CDC staff. The former CDC leaders also accusing the secretary of downplaying measles vaccines and replacing experts on advisory committees with, quote, unqualified individuals who share his dangerous and unscientific views. Both HHS and the CDC tonight not returning NBC's requests for comment on the op-ed.
We need strong leadership that will go in there and that will be able to execute on President Trump's broad ambitions.
President Trump today challenging pharmaceutical companies to justify the success of their various COVID drugs after launching Operation Warp Speed in his first term, fast-tracking vaccine production. This as COVID cases rise in 31 states and access to that vaccine tightens. CVS requiring a prescription in 13 states plus D.C., adding it's unable to administer COVID vaccines in 3 states. Walgreens only saying it's prepared to offer the vaccine in states where we are able to do so.
Even insurance companies have not been able to navigate people in the right direction because of the lack of guidance from the CDC.
Confusion mounting as virus season approaches. Maggie Vespa, NBC News.
To an unusual and unusually high-stakes summit overseas, with the leaders of China, India, and Russia together trying to send a message with a show of force to President Trump and the West. Janice Mackey-Freyer is in Beijing for us tonight. And Janice, some of these images are rocketing around the world already, with another leader set to make a rare visit.
Hallie, this summit has been all about the optics. Vladimir Putin again in the spotlight following his meeting with President Trump about Ukraine. Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi seen together after President Trump slapped steep tariffs on India for still buying Russian oil. Putin and Modi were holding hands. They shared a car ride together. They embraced China's Xi Jinping and soon to join Kim Jong-un on his way to town to attend the big military parade. All of it a message to Washington and the West that there are still simmering tensions among these leaders, but they're showing they are not without friends. Hallie.
Janice Mackey-Freyer in China, thank you. New developments on that dramatic video out of Pennsylvania showing a child walking on a monorail track at Hershey Park. Now, Sam Brock introduces us to the dad who brought him to safety.
After 20 terrifying minutes of parents separated from their child, this young boy popped up on the Hershey Park monorail Saturday, 20 feet above the ground. Stop! As crowds screamed and the child covered his ears, John Sampson knew what to do.
Being a dad of 3, it gives you a big, different perspective on everything. So you see a child in danger, instantly, how can I help?
The father leapt onto the monorail from a nearby ice cream stand.
How did you get up the ice cream stand? Yeah, on the side of it, there's a fence. I climbed up on that, balanced on that, climbed up on the roof from there, and then it was a straight shot from there. Where did this sort of like MacGyver level skill set come from? I'll call it more of like dad strength.
According to Hershey Park, while our team was actively searching, the child entered a secured area for the monorail, which was not in operation, safeguarded by a chained closure and barricaded turnstile. Amidst the crowd's cries, Sampson concentrating on the task at hand.
I was able to grab him and hug him, and then I heard all the cheers after that. Did he seem relieved instantaneously? Oh, instantly. And just super scared, and then just gripping me, so happy to be in somebody's arms.
Not in the arms of a stranger, but for a relieved family, in the arms of a Hershey hero dad. Sam Brock, NBC News.
Yes! Now to a growing reality for so many seniors across America. Even after years of making good money, more and more are finding themselves on the street when they fall on hard times. Stephanie Gosk has tonight's eye-opening report.
For nearly 2 decades, Vernon Wedge worked security at Dillard's department store. He had 2 kids, a 401k. But when his eyesight went at age 69, the Arizona native found himself out of a job.
Money ran out. We got a shopping cart and hit the streets.
He was homeless for the first time in his life.
So those are the little shower spouts.
On a 107-degree day in Phoenix, he showed me what he had to do to keep himself, his adult son Grant, and their dog alive. The safest place was a local church where they slept for months.
On those nights when you were sitting looking up at the cross, what were you thinking about?
Trying to have God talk to me and tell me everything is going to be okay. Save my son, my dog. Help me.
Last year, more than 42,000 Americans over the age of 65 were homeless, and researchers estimate there could be more than 100,000 by 2030. Nationwide, there is a lack of affordable housing, and the average Social Security check has not kept pace with inflation.
When we age, we don't adapt very well to the heat. How are you?
Much better. Nurse practitioner Leslie Hamadi watches the numbers of homeless seniors grow firsthand. Are you regularly finding people out here completely dehydrated?
Very, very dehydrated, lethargic. We do offer IV hydration if it's that bad. We're going to be pulling up.
The team drives the streets, matching up with people they see daily.
Good morning.
And those who they spot for the first time. Living on the streets is hard for anyone, but especially so for seniors.
Memory impairment is also something that happens when we age.
Yeah.
So even remembering, who do I call, where do I go? So they need one-on-one support.
There is a safety net that is in place, but is it enough?
No, there's not enough. There needs to be more housing resources for our seniors.
Now, seniors-only homeless shelters are popping up around the country to meet the growing need. At St. Vincent de Paul, residents are allowed to live in these 8x8 cubicles for 2 years. Vernon only has 8 months left.
Do you worry that you could end up back on the street?
Yeah, at times. My vision getting even worse. I don't think I could do the street again. Oh, outside.
Now 73 years old, he's still searching for a permanent home.
Come on, buddy.
Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, Phoenix.
Still to come tonight, the dramatic rescue from a sinking boat. Plus, an NFL legend gives it the old college try as Bill Belichick enters a new coaching era. We're back after this. Welcome back. He may have racked up 8 Super Bowl rings in the NFL, but for legendary coach Bill Belichick, it's a different kind of hype in North Carolina tonight as he prepares for his debut on the college field. As Jesse Kirsch reports, he's a long way from Foxborough.
University of North Carolina's campus is buzzing tonight about a man who won't play a single snap of football.
And we learn more every day, and we'll learn more each game.
Bill Belichick is best known as the Patriots' 6-time Super Bowl winning curmudgeon coach. Now the NFL legend is giving it the old college try.
I've been through a lot of opening days, and every one is the same in that there's some things you kind of feel good about. There's some other questions that you have.
Despite uncertainty, Tar Heel hype is surging. UNC says single game and season tickets are sold out. His first test, TCU tonight.
Hopefully Bill can get it, make this like a real football school. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Still, Belichick's college success is no guarantee.
70 new players on the roster. Wow. And, Bill's strength as a coach to me is developing players. And it's very difficult to do when you have that many new players in this short of time to get ready for a season.
There's also been off-the-field focus on Belichick's dating life, which has made headlines of its own. But tonight, all eyes are on Belichick as a new era begins. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
We are back in a moment with the football standout and his father rescuing a driver from a burning car. Nightly News is back after this. I want to show you this dramatic roadside rescue caught on camera. Watch this. Army football player Larry Pickett Jr. helps pull somebody from this wrecked car just moments before it bursts into flames. You see it there. His father says the West Point sophomore did not hesitate despite the live power lines. Officials say the driver of that car was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. And look at these people clinging to a capsized boat 7 miles offshore. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue joining the Coast Guard to save them. The stranded boaters managed to swim to the rescue boats, and officials say all 4 were brought back to land safely. When we come back, 20 years after Katrina, we catch up with Trombone Shorty on a mission to make sure the sound of New Orleans survives the storm. There is good news tonight in New Orleans. 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, one musician's making sure the storm didn't silence the city and its music. Here's Priscilla Thompson.
Most people know Troy Andrews as Trombone Shorty, one of the most prolific jazz musicians of his time. But back home in New Orleans, in his old high school auditorium, he's much more than just that.
The way I grew up is over with because of Katrina, and I wanted to be able to reach all of those kids so we can keep the legacy going.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, he founded the Trombone Shorty Foundation, working alongside his childhood friend and fellow musician, Julian Gosson, to ensure that even as the city struggled to recover, that iconic New Orleans sound survived the storm.
The brass band during that time played such a pivotal role because we don't need electricity. Band could just stand on the corner and make everybody feel good.
You could just see people crying, and once they hear that tuba and the snare drum, someone ate a po' boy and they just had tears in their eyes.
How worried were you all that the music would be lost?
I was a little bit worried because it needs to be here. We have to be on the street.
The students they now teach weren't even born or were only kids when Katrina hit. 20 years after Katrina, you all are the new generation of musicians. What story do you want to tell?
We're still here doing it big, like we don't let anything stop us.
The music and the people playing on.
Homes have changed, architecture has changed, streets have been renamed.
Yeah.
But the music is always going to be the music.
People that keep it alive, that's going to always be here.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, New Orleans.
Proving you cannot silence New Orleans. That's Nightly News for this Monday. I'm Hallie Jackson. Tom will be back tomorrow. From all of us here at NBC, thanks for watching and have a great week.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.